So in our world, what we say is we don't ever say I'm sorry. We always say I apologize.
You said that to me earlier, and we're going to joust on some stuff. Why would you never say you're sorry?
Because you're damn right you're sorry. Your sorry ass did this, and your sorry company did that, and your sorry tech did that, and your sorry materials did that. Wait a minute, you're just venting and you're starting to spiral out of control. You're becoming a tornado when we were just being a little windspout or whatever they call those things to begin with. And if you calm down, dust devil. Thank you.
Welcome to the Small Business Safari, where I help guide you to avoid those traps, pitfalls, and dangers that lurk when navigating the wild world of small business ownership. I'll share those gold nuggets of information and invite guests to help accelerate your ascent to that mountaintop of success. It's a jungle out there, and I want to help you traverse through the levels of owning your own business that can get you bogged down and distract you from hitting your own personal and professional goals. So strap in, adventure team, and let's take a ride through the safari and get you to the mountaintop.
I think people tuning into the podcast, I think they like to hear some of their human stories and they like to pick up some nuggets and take some things away because that's what we all do. So here's my human story. I'm an old man who has to have braces now so I can fix my teeth over years because I've never fixed them
Let me
right.
see your teeth. They don't look like they need to be fixed.
Well, I got two that are fallen. I chipped my tooth as a 13-year-old playing sports.
Hockey.
Of course. No. Better one. So here I am, and people don't know how big I am and how slow I was, but I played everything. I played football, basketball, baseball. And in baseball, I decided I was going to slide like Pete Rose into third base. And this big, lumbering oaf came down third base and went to slide, and I hit the kid's foot, and I chipped my tooth. And you would think, number one, I didn't have enough speed, but I had a lot of momentum because there was a lot of weight coming behind me.
And are you telling me you went face first?
I did.
Oh.
Pete Rose face first right into it. Chipped my tooth, got up and went, spit it out, kept on rolling. I was in 8th grade, and it ended up abscessing on me. It ended up being just a total nightmare. Well, the doctors at the time, it was all good, and the dentist said, you really don't need braces unless you're going to be a movie star. And we clearly know that I wasn't going to be a movie star, so I said, forget it. I don't want to go middle mouth and have to have braces if I don't have to. Now, here I am, an older man. My teeth are starting to erode that have been chipped, and they keep trying to put caps on them. And the caps keep coming off because my mouth is out of alignment. So now I have to go through this 1.5 year process of wearing braces so that I can get the front 2 teeth capped so I can continue to eat and be the beautiful guy that I am. Well, I just had to change get my braces fixed this morning, and my teeth are killing me right now.
So you're doing an Invisalign?
I am. Yeah, I'm doing the Invisalign. It's working out, but it's brutal because I had to wait because I've already started the process. Well, in the middle of it, I went through my braces so fast because I bite through the Invisaligns at night. I grind my teeth.
That's some serious stress.
Yeah. So there we go.
Do they make like a Invisalign Max for teeth grinders like you?
What he did was but that's why I just started this morning. He went in there and he took my normal Invisaligns and he basically had to move them smaller, and mean that I only can get 7 to 10 days on them. You're supposed to get like 2 weeks.
Oh.
But I was only getting 7 days before I crack them in half. He looked at me this morning and goes, all right, so new rule for Chris. Anytime you crack them, you have to switch. You can't leave cracked stuff in your mouth. I'm like, got it, Doc. I'm on it. So here I am doing that, and we're getting ready to do this podcast, and I can't get enough beer in me fast enough to numb my teeth. I'm just sitting there going, oh, my teeth. But
I thought we'd already started.
we started.
Okay.
Oh, this is going in the episode. What? Well, let's cheers early and cheers often. Here we go. Alan,
cheers.
so there you go. There's your personal story for everybody listening to the podcast.
Yeah.
And now it's time to move on.
Good to see you.
It's been good to be seen, and I'm excited with my teeth as they keep moving.
What do you think about this beer?
So I've liked it because we've had this once before, right?
Yeah.
So it's a good IPA.
Just brewed it a couple weeks ago.
So Alan, the homemade beer brewer, I am very impressed. I always like it.
Mm-hmm.
And I always like having a beer with you always as we talk about everything that we do.
That's right.
So what do we talk about today for our
Grumpy
small
people.
business? Uh-oh. Grumpy cat?
Yeah. Yeah, and I think today's the day where we talk about the Caterpillar sandwich. But
We've all been waiting. We've all been
You look
waiting for
like
the Caterpillar
You look
sandwich.
like a kid at Christmas.
I'm excited.
But I would like to talk, and there's so many ways that you can come at this. I mean, I could ask you off the bat, is the customer always right?
I'll give you that answer. Big old no.
Really?
Customer's not always right.
Now, do you want to make the customer feel like you think that they're always right?
I think you need to solve the customer's problem, especially in home services. But the customer isn't always right. Because if you come at it from the customer's always right, you may do things that long-term may impact their house, may not actually set you up for success, and may not ultimately solve their problem that they really have. But does the customer need to be served? 100%. As we talked about in one of the other podcasts, and as we all know, Alan is a customer service
Freak.
Yeah.
So why, this is going to sound like just a total wasted question, but why do we really care if customers are satisfied?
Oh, that's a big one. You have to care. That's the biggest thing because you want people to come back to your business. And we talked a lot about restaurants, which we went over and over in restaurants. I mean, just think, in my world, if customers think that they got a lackluster service or we didn't feel that to make them feel like they had that popsicle moment when we were done, they won't come back. They may have no options right now, especially in home services, and you really got to care that they felt served. Even if they didn't like it all the way through, but they knew that you tried to care, that's the big thing. So why do you need to care? You gotta, if you show that care, even if you're not screwing it up, you gotta show that.
Yeah, it's funny, and we talked about this on one of the previous, or maybe the last episode, but everybody talks such a big game about their commitment to customer satisfaction, which honestly, in my opinion, the word satisfaction doesn't mean a whole lot to me anymore. How was your meal, Chris? I was satisfied. It was satisfactory. That's actually not a great word.
That's a good point.
I-
So you're saying, are we shooting for satisfactory? Well, no.
No.
Whoever went to school to get a C.
No, and satisfaction, customer satisfaction kind of implies that they're really happy. But what you really want is customer loyalty. And there's a pretty massive difference between a bunch of customers who said, yeah, I was satisfied with that meal, pull my finger, son, and I'll show you how satisfied I am. I mean, and somebody who's like, when you're in town next time, you have to go to this place. Or next time we're going to go out to dinner, we're going to go to this place. Or next time you need, I don't even know if Chris's company does this, but just call him first. Don't call anybody else. And the reason why you should care about that, in my opinion, is number one, it just makes going to work a lot more fun when you have a culture that is humming and your employees are going to be happier, you're going to be happier. You may not crack your Invisalign nearly as often.
I might not crack my Invisalign nearly as often, but
And when
you're
you
right,
have
it makes
that,
it more fun.
and you have the right to make more money. You have earned the right to make more money. And it's easier to make more money because you're going to get that repeat customer who's going to be less picky about how much you're charging. You're going to get the referral customer who's less picky about how much you're charging. And then you don't have to focus as much on the tire kickers that come in who are just all they care about is price, because you've built this aura like you talked about with the Ritz-Carlton.
Right.
That's
the big one for me. But we've talked about that before. You start out, you don't get to charge for service in the beginning when you first start because maybe you're not that good. But customer loyalty brings profitability. Because when people come back to your story and they come back to your business, I just got a chance to talk to a customer today and said, hey, you guys have been out and done a great job. I said, okay, well, off the cuff, it looks like it's going to be about this much. She goes, okay, schedule it up.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, okay. Where, normally I would have been about half of that. I wasn't sure. I just wanted to feel her out a little bit. It's not that I'm gouging the customer, but I know I'm providing a great service for a customer who's going to be thrilled with us when we're done.
Right.
And my guys are going to go have an easier transaction, make more money. My scheduler is going to have an easy way to just let them know because they know we do everything through email because we love email because it goes quicker. You're right. Customer loyalty brings profitability.
I'm sure in your your big baller days, how many times did you order catering? And the first time you got, hey, Chris, why don't you set up catering for this event? and you call a couple of caterers, maybe you get a recommendation or two, and you have no idea. It's like, how much per person is this going to be? And you start nitpicking it, and then you finally pick one. And if you pick the right one and they did a great job, the second time you call them, the pricing just isn't that big of a deal because you trust them. They're not going to screw you. They're going to do a great job for you, and whatever they're charging must be right. And I'm sure you get that same thing with your home services customers.
Absolutely. The customers come in and they hit that easy button. Remember that big old red easy button?
Yeah.
Because they get to hit that. And as long as you don't go crazy.
Right.
So let's say they catered an event for the same size people and it came in at 3,000, but you were like trying to find somebody at 2,500.
Yeah.
But you went out of 3. The next time they come back and they go, well, same size, but today it's going to be 3,500. You're like, okay. As long as they don't say it's $6,000, $7,000, don't get crazy on me.
Yeah.
Or justify and tell me because I just want to hit the easy button. I found you. I got you in my speed dial. Let's go. Let's just do it. You're right. And so customer loyalty brings profitability. I know I said it like 3 times, but it's like 1-800 cars for kids.
Well, and I think there's a lot of people that are in small business who, I don't know if they really care that much about customer satisfaction other than the fact that it sucks having angry customers and I want to make them go away. And I realize if I have angry customers, they're going to hit my social media and blah, blah, blah. But I don't know if everybody cares about the whole customer satisfaction, customer loyalty from the right perspective. And you have some big corporations out there. Nordstrom's was one of them that I used to tell stories about in all my customer service classes. It was a big, not inexpensive clothing company. And they went so far out of their way to take care of their customers that they just had this complete, devotion from their clients. They would never shop anywhere else. And it was so ridiculous that, they were legendary for they would actually take things back that they never even sold.
That's crazy.
And the thing is you sit there and go, if I open that Pandora's box, people are going to just run roughshod over me. Well, their mindset was maybe 10% of the clientele out there is going to take advantage of you. But that's the cost of having this second to none customer service reputation. And I have a couple of personal stories that are just mind-blowing.
Well, they've written books about the Nordstrom Way. People have tried to emulate the Nordstrom Way. I think they've even created a consulting company around the Nordstrom Way. But I think it's probably worthwhile to talk about that one story. The one I remember most that you've told me about is the pair of pants. And I think you've got to tell that story because everybody out there listening needs to know that what this individual did. He wasn't the CEO of the company. He wasn't the COO of the company. He wasn't the operations manager. He wasn't even the department store head. He wasn't even a department head of anything.
No.
So I'm setting the scene. We got to hear the story about the pants that Alan didn't have.
How I lost my pants. The other thing I want to add to your list was they did nothing wrong. I'm the one who screwed up. I was the customer. I was not right. Now, I was not angry, but they did nothing wrong, and they still went ridiculously out of their way to take care of it.
So the customer isn't always right, and you were the customer in this case.
Yep.
So what did you do?
Yeah, so got my big promotion to vice president, moved to Atlanta, told my wife, who's an accountant, I'm going to have to spend some money on some clothes. And I'm going to Nordstrom's because I'm a big guy and they can actually cater to that to a certain extent. But so we went and spent a fair amount of money. Quite a few suits, sport coats, belts, slacks, shoes, the whole 9 yards. And I got a Joseph Abboud suit. It was the most I'd ever paid for a suit. And this was a long time ago. It was a $1,000 suit.
So it's a lot of money anywhere.
It's a lot of money
for a suit.
Yeah, but there was one corporate event a year where you just had to dress to the nines, and it was our annual managers meeting. We were in Orlando, and it was a big meeting. And they upgraded me at the Marriott to the suite for some reason, and so I, had a lot of events.
So you lived in Atlanta, but you were traveling to Orlando to be the big baller.
Yeah.
You be Mr. Big VP in Orlando, and you're there, and you got upgraded. I love it.
Yeah. So I get back home and I unpack and I can't find my pants, which is not my favorite thing to have to tell my wife that I was on at a convention and I came home pantless, but I couldn't find the pants to that suit. And so I called Marriott, who supposedly has this great customer service reputation. And all they did was switch me to their cleaning people, and I got a no speak any English, and there was nothing. I mean, there was no concern, no help or anything. I'm like, wow, that was actually kind of surprising to me as a.
How long did you
customer
have
service freak.
between the time you realized you'd have the pants and when you had to have pants on? Because I would hate for you to go to that big baller
No, no.
convention without any pants on.
No, it was when I was unpacking, coming home, and dry cleaning, and the whole. It was immediate. So my call down to the Marriott was.
Oh, so you got back home after. So you got to wear the big baller pants.
Oh, I got to wear the pants.
But you got back home
Yeah.
and you were pantless.
Yeah, the only thing I could think of was, at the end of the day, I kind of draped them over a chair and they fell behind it or something. But you'd think.
You can let your mind wander if you're listening to the podcast and maybe driving on the road. What was Alan doing? But you go and you can make your own assumptions. I've already made mine.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll move on from that. So we get back home.
My
and you're
wife,
telling your
my wife believed me, and that's all that matters.
Okay.
So I call Nordstrom's, and I get a hold of Carl, who was the sales guy at Nordstrom's, and I said, "Hey, Carl, here's what's happened. I went to a convention. I lost my pants to the suit. Can I buy a new pair of pants?" And he goes, "Yeah, that's not normally how it works, especially with the higher end. They're worried about dye lots and things
Sure.
like that." He
Yeah, you
goes,
can't match those up.
Yeah, and he goes, "I tell you what, I'm going to call Italy and see if I can get that done for you." So that's the first thing he said. He already kind of set the stage that I may not be able to do it. So he calls me back pretty quickly. He says, "Yeah, I got a hold of the factory and they can't do that." He said, "So why don't you come on up here and I'll get you taken care of." And he kind of said it in a way where I'm like, does he think that I make so much money that I'm just going to come buy another suit? Or is he doing what I think he's doing, which is being ridiculously Nordstrom's? And I said, "Carl, I'm not 100% sure I know what you mean about taking care of me with a new suit." He goes, "Yes, you do. You've been a long time customer. You came from the Northwest, where Nordstrom's is from. And you know what I'm saying." And I said at that point, "Carl, I lost my pants. You did nothing wrong." And he goes, "Yeah, but that you're a great client. We're going to take care of you." And I kept pushing back as a customer. I'm like, "No, I lost."
You're like, "No, Carl, I insist.
Yeah.
Please don't give me a
Yeah.
new pair of pants." So I'm not giving you a new pair of pants. I'm going to give you.
He goes, "So he said," I go, "You're talking about giving me a whole new suit?" And he goes, "Yes." And I said, "I lost my pants. You did nothing wrong." And he goes, "Let me think about this for a second." And he goes, "I let you down when I could not find the pants that you requested.
Wow.
So come on up. I'll get you taken care of a new suit." And
Carl, in the sales department.
Yeah.
Again.
Yep.
How many levels between him and the owner of the
Yeah.
company, the Nordstrom family?
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
that culture went all the way down.
Yeah, never let me talk to my manager, nothing. I went up there, the suit was waiting, the tailor was waiting. It was unbelievable. Now, to somebody who's struggling to make payroll, that doesn't apply. But when you think about, I have been telling that story for 20 years.
You've told
Everyone
it
of-
before.
yeah,
We ever
every
did
one
this,
of my
and that's why I think
employees-
everybody needs to hear that story. And go shop Nordstrom's. If you can't afford Nordstrom's, go find a tent and go treat yourself. Go do it once. Because
Just
if
go
you
to the
don't-
anniversary sale. You'll get the same stuff a lot less.
Oh, there-
once a year.
Oh, a little tip to Nordstrom's.
Yeah, but I mean, it's one of those things where I was so blown away. And I mean, I was already a fan. I already had another Nordstrom story that wasn't nearly as impressive, but it was impressive at the time. And, after that, any one of my, senior guys that worked or girls that worked underneath me, went to Nordstrom's. That's where they went and got their stuff.
It's so hard to measure the impact of what he just did there. And it's really hard to do it when you're in small business because you don't know the impact of what you did.
Right.
You don't know if it really worked. Or maybe if he didn't do that, would you still shop at Nordstrom's? You probably would. You'd probably still go back. But doing that, not only are you doing this, but as we've known before about you, you're either a business champion or a business terrorist. There's no in between when it comes to Alan.
He turned
So,
me into an apostle.
I mean, you are out there
Yeah.
preaching the good word of Nordstrom's.
Yeah, that's right. I saw the miracle with my own eyes.
And you don't,
Yeah.
you don't get a chance to know if that really impacted people. And that's the hard part when you're sitting in the business and you're so focused on making payroll or profitability or money. And how much do you allow people to do things because customer loyalty, does it really pay off at the end? Does it really, writing a refund check to a customer or sending a guy back to fix a screen door that wasn't our fault because the guy ordered the wrong screen door and just doing it saying, hey, call us again.
and then going and winning a bathroom remodel 3 months later from him, which is our story, because my guy went back and we didn't charge him for a misordered screen door. Not our fault, his fault. Customer's not always right. We went ahead and did it. He didn't charge him anymore. Get a bathroom remodel out of it. So I'm shrugging my shoulders going, it's hard to measure. It's really hard to measure that. But you know it's doing it right. And then there's a lot of times where you do it and you're just doing it for an a-hole and you're not going to get anything out of it. So you maybe, I don't know what, 6 out of 10 times you're doing it for an a-hole, but you don't know which 6 they are. Right? And you don't know which one's going to turn into the apostle of Nordstrom saying, I believe, or the apostle of the trusted toolbox, I believe. That's one of the hardest things to do, and to make that call in the moment when that call happens to you.
Yeah.
It's not my fault, but I'm going to go fix your problem, Mr. Customer, and I'm going to go over and above, and I'm going to cost myself money. Because the one thing that Carl didn't have to do is that didn't come out of his paycheck. Because that would have come out of Chris's paycheck at a small business.
Right, and you're exactly right. And I was just going to say to anybody listening who's got a small business going, I can't do. I would suggest that it's a mindset that you should aspire to. Not that you can afford to do that on day one, but it's a mindset that you should aspire to. And the fact that Carl, who is how many ever layers down below Mr. Nordstrom, maybe never even met anybody from the Nordstrom family, could do that without even blinking, was a huge testament to the culture that they have in that company.
Yeah, it's definitely hard to put that culture in, and you've had people like, I find out one of my guys has driven 40 miles out of the way to go get something for a customer and never charged him for it, and I'm sitting here as the owner going, wait a minute, you should have charged him for it. What are you doing? Did that turn into a customer loyalty kind of chocolate chip cookie, or was that just nobody really knew and the a-hole was good with it?
Yeah, it's a good point, because and we're kind of getting a little derailed from solving customer problems, but I'm a big believer, if you're going to do something out of the ordinary for a customer, you need to kind of, in a way, let them know that was out of the ordinary, but they're worth it. They were that important to you that I did this, and I'm supposed to charge you, but I didn't.
So you make them feel special.
You make them feel special.
You give them that
and
chocolate chip cookie.
you also
the end of
prevent them expecting whatever it was that you did next time for free.
Right. That the customer loyalty brings it. I brought that up, and so my chocolate chip cookie reference comes from another one that I learned, and that is in a cleaner in Seattle. She used to clean houses, and so she would clean houses, and right before she would finish, she had about 2 hours before she would finish, she would turn the oven on, and she always brought cookie dough with her. Put cookie dough on the baking pan, put the cookies in the oven, and when the cookies would finish about an hour, right, that's about how long it takes to cook, she pulls them out, she puts them on the oven, has a freshly baked chocolate chip cookie sitting there. So when the customer came home at the end of the day, it would smell like chocolate chip cookies. It was a chocolate chip cookie experience. It was that add-on, that loyalty, right? So as she started to scale, she didn't tell everybody else who did this. So she would send out one team over here and one team over there. So team A would go here, team B would go here, and she would take care of team C. And team C's customers, all the customers were raving, and team A and team B, customers started calling saying, hey, her name was Maria. Maria just didn't go like I thought it would. They were nice people, but it just wasn't the same experience. And she went back, she could figure out what was going on. And then it dawned on her that none of her team A and team B people were making chocolate chip cookies.
Where's my cookies?
That's all they wanted was that chocolate chip cookie experience, loyalty, and perhaps they become your brand champion. So you are the apostle, in business terms, we'd say brand champion. People are out there going, oh my God, you've got to use this company because you get a chocolate chip cookie when you're done at the end of every transaction. So we don't do chocolate chip cookies here at the Trusted Toolbox.
I think you should.
I threatened that with my guys. I said, all right, all of you are going to have to learn how to fire up the oven at the customer's house and put chocolate chip cookies in. I don't care if you're working outside. Go and violate their space and go in the kitchen. No,
all this does reinforce the fact, though, it's the culture and the people that are so much more important to me than the process. And the process is really important. And you're a very process-oriented guy, much more so than me.
Yep. I think the processes bring the culture. I think the processes also bring the customer experience to light.
Yeah, and I think we should debate on that a little bit. And I think, you'll probably win. But my feeling on that is you can have a great process. It goes back to the whole, you can take that donkey, but I don't care what you do with the process on the donkey, it's not going to win the Kentucky Derby.
We did talk about that one of the
Yeah.
episodes, and I actually hit it again in the mini because because that analogy is so good. I actually had a dream about that one, Alan.
Did you crush another pair of braces?
I must have crushed it, but I had a dream that the donkey was running in a race with other horses, and he veered off the track. Now I don't know what happened to him after that, but you can't win a donkey can't win the Kentucky Derby. So you want to hire for stallions. I know that, but go back to the process that the stallions have to go through. If you're the same caliber people, the process that the trainer goes through and the jockey goes through, and the process that they get the horse to run and understand the objective to do it, I think
That one will win the Derby over the other.
right. So,
Yeah.
and so that's why I think I will win with. I think having great processes will bring great customer experiences. Having great people in place will overcome bad processes, and you can still have a great customer experience because of people. But if you want to take people and make good people have a great customer experience, I think you have to have great processing. I do.
Yeah, no, and I don't disagree with that. I just think that some people, that's all they care about is process. And if you don't have great people delivering it, it doesn't really matter.
That's true.
I don't think.
I'll give you that. You'll get that 1 point, but I'll still win.
Yeah. All right, so your phone rings and you pick it up and you got the heater. Just,
All right.
You know, your hair is getting blown back. Your skin is peeling back. It's just DEFCON 4, and you've got an angry customer.
So I have Harry Heater on the phone,
You have Harry Heater.
and they are blowing me up
Yep,
to no end.
yep,
What do you do?
yeah. How do you make that customer happy?
That's a tough one because we talk about this one. We've actually talked about this one offline a lot. When they're calling and they're ticked, I mean, there is no other word to say other than they are emotionally distraught. They are pissed. You have done something that completely invaded either their space, their time, or their sense of normalcy. And in home services, when you go into somebody's house, it is much more personal than when we go to somebody else's place of business. So when we get that call that comes in and says, you have ruined my day, you have absolutely ruined my house, what do? Let's go ahead and thank one of our sponsors. Are you in the home service business and train your employees to represent your company in the right way when they're taking care of customers? Are they providing a 110% customer experience? If you aren't getting those rave reviews that you expect or those repeat customers that you crave, then you need to get the HomeServiceInstitute.com training programs. These training programs talk the language of your technician and help them figure out how to align your goals with their wants. Go ahead and check out the HomeServiceInstitute.com and all of their training modules, and they will turn your employees into 110% customer experience providers. That's the HomeServiceInstitute.com. And now let's get back to listening to what the guys have to say. The question here is, what do you do? Because you say, well, you have to let them vent. And people say all the time, well, Chris, you got to let them get off their chest. You got to let them blow the steam, and hopefully they'll blow steam just like a lot of air coming out of a balloon. And once they do that, they'll calm down, and then you can solve their problem. My experience has been, if you let them vent for too long, they seem to blow that freaking balloon back up like 45 freaking times, and they get even worse. And the next thing you know, not only did I ruin your day, your house, but now I've ruined your life and your kids and grandkids' lives. They go further and further away emotionally.
Man, you must suck sometimes.
I think we all will at some point. That's the beautiful thing about our world, is that everybody here is unique.
I'm saying that
that's-
with a twinkle in my eye because he's awesome. They're awesome.
But you get those people. And so how long
Every
do you
once in
let
a
them
while, you serve a caterpillar sandwich, Chris.
Uh-oh, we're getting there.
Yeah.
Before I let you do caterpillar sandwich, I'm going to finish that.
No,
So how long do you let them vent? I think a great question for all of us in any service business is, as long as you start to bring them back to, let me solve your problem. And you got to find out what the problem is. And if you're the person who is empowered to solve their problem, then dig in and find out what it is. Is it money? Was it time? Was it quality? Was it invasion of space? Was it that you just I just didn't like you that day and I'm having a bad day and you know what? I got fired from a job and I got to take it out on somebody and my wife won't talk to me anymore, so I got to yell at somebody. Had that happen, by the way. Yeah, by the time we were done, I realized that everything what came down to is that he couldn't afford to pay us for the work we completed, but he wanted to pick on the quality of the work. And when I went out there, he finally admitted that he couldn't tell his wife that he had lost his job and didn't have the money.
Oh my
So-
gosh.
So what do you do with that? Is the customer always right? No, of course he was completely wrong. He owed us for that job and what we did. I was not completely in the right, but I was understanding. I understood it. So we put him on a payment plan. And good news is he got a job and he calmed down. But he also realized what he was doing is that he was venting to me. And it wasn't that I was a counselor or taking him through it. I let him vent for a while, but then I said, let me solve your problem. So in our world, what we say is we don't ever say I'm sorry. We always say I apologize.
You said that to me earlier, and we're going to joust on some stuff. Why would you never say you're sorry?
Because you're damn right you're sorry. Your sorry ass did this, and your sorry company did that, and your sorry tech did that, and your sorry materials did that. Wait a minute, you're just venting and you're starting to spiral out of control. You're becoming a tornado when we were just being a little wind spout or whatever they call those things to begin with. And if you calm
Dust
down,
devil?
dust devil. Thank you. So let's get back to the root of the problem. Solving the customer's problem is what you got to do. So you let them vent for a little bit, but then you say, I apologize. Let me see what I can do to help. I may not be able to help you at this very moment in time. Let me get a plan together. I will be back to you and give them a time. Also know that whatever you say can and will be used against you every single time. So you tell them, hey, this is what I've got to do, because if you get a call, you got to put the pieces together. As my grandmother used to say, I have to get all the wires in one room, because when I get all the wires in one room, I get to the truth. And I got a customer who's ticked, clearly not satisfied with anything we did. There's not one S word coming out of there that starts with S and ends with satisfaction. Yeah, it ends with itty. Yeah, and it usually, yeah, they got a lot of that in there too. So you got to figure out what's going on. So I have found that over the years, when you, with confidence, say, I understand your concerns. I apologize this happened. I can't unring that bell. Let me get a plan together. I will get back to you. And if it's 2 hours, you tell them 2 hours and you don't waver on that commitment. If it's got to be one day, because it's not as big of a deal, it might be a mess that was made or something that can wait, they usually will wait.
Mhm.
If you miss that commitment, you have now completely blown all confidence.
Mhm.
And Jack Welch, who I'm a big believer in what Jack Welch did with GE, has a great chapter in his book called Jack, talking about crises management. We all have crisis. Every day we have a crisis. A crisis could be defined as I can't find my keys in the morning. I'm trying to get out of the house. But if I don't get out of the house in 5 minutes, I'm going to be late for my appointment. That's a crisis. Okay, it's a little one, but there are big ones. And what Jack talked about is in crisis management mode as a company, you need to communicate early, you need to communicate often, you need to communicate concisely, be very concise, and also know that everything you say can and will be used against you in everything, a court of public opinion, court of customer satisfaction, court of I'm never going to ever use you guys again and I will be a complete business terrorist. And when you do that, that's how we've been able to overcome those really bad situations, because things, especially in construction and homes, sometimes things don't go right and it happens. But if you throw that plan, I have found that 9 times out of 10 we have a customer that actually will come back.
Mhm.
I shouldn't say 9 times out of 10 they'll come back. I would say maybe less than that, but 9 times out of 10 they'll at least be satisfied that you cared enough about their concerns to solve their problem, using all those words specifically. But one thing I did learn, I brought one of our new CSRs in, and she would have a raving, just absolute lunatic, just completely ticked. Harry Heater's on the phone, and she would immediately transfer him to my desk, or to my scheduler's desk, or to my quality assurance manager's desk.
Hot potato.
Here we go. And what's the first thing that's going to happen when I pick up the phone? I don't even know who this person is. It
Right.
wasn't a warm transfer. It was a cold call.
Get your face blown off.
I am getting absolute. And so guess what Harry Heater gets to do? Redo the whole story he just told the first person.
With embellishment.
And that story keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So one of the processes we put in place is when Harry Heater calls, take Harry Heater's information, be very sincere and genuine, and say that I got your information. I will get this to the appropriate person. We will be in touch. And if it's at 8 o'clock in the morning, we'll be in touch by the end of the day. And if that's not acceptable to them, okay, we'll see what we can do by 12. Let them get a plan and we will get back to you. And then we can get the information to the right person who can solve their problem, because not everybody can solve every problem in our company. A CSR can't tell you how we're gonna fix that door that our guys messed up.
Right.
She has to have the quality assurance manager get involved to figure out what's the right course of action. Or, hey, you guys just mismeasured the door, it just showed up, it's 2 sizes too big. She's not gonna be able to do anything. She's not gonna be able to take that door away and order a new door. So she can't solve this problem. So I apologize, here's my plan. And the next person that picks it up in escalation then says, here is my plan, and here's what I'm gonna do, and I'm gonna solve your problem. And we have found that to be very successful, as opposed to just playing hot potato.
Yeah, I think that sometimes you get into a culture where you're just assuming, man, we have a bunch of cranky customers. And what I've learned over the years is that 9 out of 10 times, we probably did something that caused this problem. Now, what I've also recognized is usually the detonation that you are experiencing doesn't correlate with the size of the problem there is.
That's a good one.
Yeah, and I
Not
think
necessarily proportionate.
no, and I
Right.
think I think it's getting worse because in our society today, customer service is so bad that they've been conditioned that I have to just raise hell to get anybody to hear me.
Isn't that interesting? So we always used to say, what, the squeaky wheel
Right.
gets the grease?
Yeah.
But people today feel like they have got to bluster, get big, bow up, as we say in the South, or get as big as a peacock and put the feathers way up high and let everybody know that you got to solve my problem, because that's the only way I'm going to get satisfaction.
Right. It's the only way they're going to listen to me is if I just go nuts, because there are so many companies out there that haven't trained their employees how to handle a situation properly, and they're not getting the satisfaction. They actually get people who don't even care. If you get an apology, it's a half-assed one, and then nobody ever does anything. And I mean, and sometimes it's big companies now. I mean, my business partner in real estate, he's had a running nightmare with just trying to order a sofa from a national chain. And I'm like, these guys have all these great commercials and everybody loves this brand. And it's like, man, but if you have an issue on the back end, it sucks. And they made his life hell for 9 months, and just lied, and nobody cared. Nobody had accountability. Half the time when you call customer service for a big company, they won't even give you an extension to call them back. They won't give you a name. And so I kind of differ from you a little bit and that's okay, because you have a great customer service reputation. I've always had a great customer service reputation. But
2 ways to solve that problem.
2 ways to solve that problem. The one thing that I learned was that when you have Harry Heater on the phone, and I've taken some hideous calls, people who've spent the night in jail because of something one of my employees did on a rental car to the license plate, for example. In the same company, a customer whose 2-year-old pulled a revolver out from under a seat that our car washer happened to miss. Stuff along those lines. I mean, racial discrimination phone calls. I mean, I've taken them. The one thing I've learned in all that is when the customer feels that I actually feel really bad, like as bad as they are mad, then all of a sudden we've gotten somewhere, because they know
That you care.
that I really care. And one of the things that I usually will say right off the bat is I got to tell you, I hate taking this phone call because I'm really proud of our company and the service we provide, but I'm really glad you took the time to call me. As much as I don't like hearing what I'm hearing, I'm glad you called me.
That's a great disarming line. Actually, I'm going to write that down and use that.
Yeah,
Because at least you took the time.
You took the time, because what you could do is you could tell all your friends how much I suck. You can hammer me on social media. I'm not going to enjoy this next 30 minutes with you on the phone, but I'm glad that you're spending it with me, because my customer service reputation is the most important thing I own. And obviously we've done something here.
That's a gold nugget right there, everybody. I'm glad you took the time to call me, because Harry Heater, who has to come in and let you know, is one. So I think what you did there is good. But what about Andy Apathetic, the one who just slipped away and you don't even know about anymore?
Yeah.
Just said, you know what, those guys sucked. That's what I expected anyway. That's what I expect every time somebody comes to my house anyway. He sucks.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go blast him online, but I'm never coming back.
No, and if anybody asks me about him, I'm not going to say anything good.
I'm never going to say good. Hey, give these guys a shot. So you don't get it. So what do you do with those guys who are slipping away?
Yeah, and that's going to move into, testing and measuring your customer service, I think.
So testing and measuring probably going to be in the next one.
Is it?
It is, because it is time. We have all been dying.
To hear the Caterpillar sandwich.
It is time.
Dun,
Dun, dun, dun. Caterpillar sandwich time. Alan, what the hell is a caterpillar sandwich?
So it has become part of my vernacular because no matter how good your people are, and no matter how great your process is, and no matter how great your product is, just every once in a while you're going to serve a Caterpillar sandwich.
And that's not a delicacy here in the United States.
No, it is not. It could be. It's probably loaded with a little extra protein, but where that whole story came from was one. So I'm a foodie. I'll take pictures of my food. I send them to my friends, and my friends will send pictures to me. And so one day I get a text with a picture of a deli sandwich. It was obviously purchased from a national chain deli. It's a really tall sandwich, and it was wrapped in paper. So I knew he didn't make it. And it was opened, so you can see the two halves and the inside. And but it was from a guy who doesn't normally care about food that much. And so, I text back. I'm like, hey, nice sandwich. He sends me the second picture where it's opened up, and it's one of these piled high with meat and piled high with tomatoes and lettuce. Inside the lettuce, cut cleanly in half, just with the sandwich, is the biggest green caterpillar you could possibly imagine.
Oh my God.
Yes. And so I actually called him. I'm like, is that real? I go, is that you? And he goes, yeah. I ordered some food to go to pick up for my family, came home and opened it up and found that. And I go, did you take it back? And he goes, yeah, I took it back. And I said, did they give you the store and the manager's car keys and behead the cook in front of it? I mean, what did they do? And he goes, he made me another sandwich. He goes, did he not even give you a Coke? No, maybe another sandwich. Did he apologize? He goes, kinda. I mean, it was the assistant manager. He still had pimples. I thought he was going to wet himself. He kind of mumbled out an apology and just went back and did the only thing he knew to do, which was make me a new sandwich. And I'm sitting there going, there is no process. There is no solution when you serve up a Caterpillar sandwich. And once in a while, you're going to serve a Caterpillar sandwich. And at that point, your employees need to know, okay, in a small business, this could be the thing that takes you down. It could go so viral, you can't get out of it. I mean, this big chain probably has a damage control of PR people. I mean, think about what happened with Chipotle when they had E. coli.
Right.
And now it's more popular than ever. They handled a situation so brilliantly, it made my head spin.
Yeah. Totally agree with what they did.
Yeah, and it's more popular now than before when they had E. coli.
Amazing.
Yeah. So here you have another national chain, and the guy serves a Caterpillar sandwich. My buddy could have posted it on social media. He could have taken it to the news. He could have called the health inspector. There was a lot he could have done. That place could have possibly been shut down. The kid who was in charge was lucky that my friend is not a vindictive kind of guy. He probably appreciated just getting another sandwich, and the kid got lucky and he went home, had a couple of cold beers, and probably cracked his braces.
Yeah.
But what do you do when you serve a Caterpillar sandwich? Because everybody, all these customer service classes I've taught, well, what if this happens? And what if this happens? And usually I can walk them through it. Well, there's a situation where, just like my customer spent the night in jail, there's nothing you can freaking do.
You can't unring that bell.
And you know what I would tell them? I'm like,
You can't give them those 24 hours back. You can't give them that night in jail back.
no. And I'm like, I actually feel hideous that we actually did something like that to somebody, and they can tell. And in every one of those horrible situations, and I got a million of them from my time at Enterprise, and we did a great job. We had great customers, but just stuff's going to happen in a high volume transaction business. And it really comes down to, did they get heard? Did you feel their pain? And then, just like that scenario I told you with the restaurant where they didn't service and the guy came out and caught my meal. Well, that's nice. But I'm still never going back.
I'm still not going back to it.
Yeah, but
So what do you do when you serve a Caterpillar sandwich? None of your doing. You're right. So this is where you want to debate me on. You had the best process in the world. You said wash your lettuce 3 times. This is
Right.
It was what Chipotle went back to their standards and what they had to do. But
Mhm.
what do you do when one of your employees serves up the Caterpillar sandwich? I hear you. I feel horrible. But then I will add my things, and that is, let me get a plan and let me get you fixed.
How can I make it up to you?
And I think that's where people go. Sometimes, and I would say most of us, especially in the human condition, when they hear the compassion and the compelling reason, and as I use this line all the time, this is how I put food on my family's table. This is how I make a living. I absolutely do not accept this. I will get this fixed. Just give me some time to get it fixed.
Yeah. And sometimes you get stuck and here's something to really chew on. You have a situation and it looks like it's kind of unresolvable. And you ask a customer, how can I make this up to you? That is a scary thing to put in the customer's hands, and almost nobody does it. What I have found over the years, and this is with a gazillion people in the test, is a vast majority of them are probably going to say something that is less than what you were willing to give up.
I 100% agree with you. When this happens, here's what I say. I'm going to ask you, after my employee has served you the Caterpillar sandwich, what can I do?
I can't go back in time.
I
This is
cannot
awful.
remove-
I can't believe this
What can I
happened.
do? What would you like me to do? I don't ask that because I don't have an answer. I ask that to know what you would like me to do. And usually what I have done is, you are correct. They come back. It's something that you're absolutely willing to do. And I usually bump it up just a little bit more.
Yep.
And they go, I'm great. Because every once in a while, and I would say that the 10%ers will come back and say, well, I want the whole thing for free. I'm like, well, 90% of it went well. The 10% Caterpillar sandwich part didn't go well, but now you want the whole thing taken for free. Okay, now you're just taking advantage of me. But most of the people, again, good human conditions, and when they see you face to face, and they know that you care,
Yeah.
I think they usually ask for something that you were well willing to give back, whether it be more of your time, more of your product, and some of your money.
Yeah.
And if you do a little bit more, they go, wow, at least you made it right. At least you stood behind it.
And the thing is you still have the right to say no. So assume they're the 90%. Assume they're a good person. Assume we did something that sent this sideways that wasn't necessarily as egregious as a Caterpillar sandwich. But somewhere along the line, something went wrong that sent them into this orbit, if they're part of that 90%. And so the fact is if they say something stupid and unreasonable, I want your firstborn, I want the, everything else, you can just say, well, obviously that's not going to happen. So let's talk about, what can I really do? And you may have to fire a customer. You may have to walk away, and then you may have to address it in social media. You've done everything. You've been extremely reasonable. You have the right to say no. So it really isn't as big of a risk to ask somebody, how can I make it up to you? What would you like me to do? However, it comes out the most sincere and natural with great eye contact, and that they actually see that you care and you're really upset that they're unhappy. And 9 times out of 10, they're going to say something just like you said that's going to be, you know what, I'll do that. Thank you. I'll make that happen. If they say something stupid like, I want the rest of your profit for the rest of the year, I want that person fired tomorrow, or that's not going to happen. What can we do to, that's fair and reasonable to respond to?
I agree with you.
And
It is
you
a
may
vulnerable,
have to fire a customer.
it's a vulnerable position to put yourself out in. But I would agree 100% every time. Put yourself in that position, and 9 times out of 10, you'll be all right. Now,
Yeah.
of course, if you're a small business owner and you're like me, you do remember that one, and I'm still remembering him right now.
Which is why you never say sorry.
So that's why I never say sorry, because you're damn right you're sorry. You're damn right you're sorry, guy. You're damn right you did this, sorry. You're sorry I did that. I'm like, all right. So let's wrap this episode up in a bow. And what happens when you serve a Caterpillar sandwich. But we had some good stuff in the beginning talking about great customer service and having those customer zealots in your organization. So I think there's a lot of great value that we added to the group today. Look forward to the next episode where we get into how do you really measure if you got great customer service.
Looking forward to that one.
Here we go. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Small Business Safari. Remember, your positive attitude will help you achieve that higher altitude you're looking for in the wild world of small business ownership. And
And until next time, make it a great day.